I'm Angela Yuriko Smith, here on Writer's Block to answer 5 questions about writing. I want to thank Joe Compton for having me here from Go Indie Now. If you haven't subscribed to Go Indie Now, now's a good time. A lot of you might know me from my blog, angelawysmith.com. I publish 4 times a week. You might also know me from Space and Time magazine, which I co-publish with R.A. Smith, also known as my husband. And this is a great little speculative magazine. We're 53 years old now. It was started by Gordon Linsner in 1966. Specializes in fantasy, horror, and science fiction, and all kinds of mashups of those. So we really love this magazine, and you can find that at spaceandtimemagazine.com. Also, the book I'm known the most for probably is Bittersweets, which is a novella I came out with last year. It won a Bram Stoker FInalist position, so very happy about that. I'm actually working on a larger version and a more complete version now with some new things. Well, this happens to me all the time. I'm constantly being stopped in midstream and having to run and do something else. And I like to find a song that encapsulates the mood for me. So right now it's Imagine Dragons Zero encapsulates one of the, or kind of reflects one of the main characters for Bittersweets for me, which I know the name of, but you don't. But you can get a hint in the song Zero. But so I'll listen to that song pretty much on repeat for a couple of days, and as I'm listening to it, I'll really think about the character and everything that the character is made of, all his characteristics, all the pieces of him that define him or her. And I'll think about the story in general. Then later, if I get stopped, I can just listen to that song and I'm right back there in that mood. Just the same way a song can bring back, like a prom night, it can bring back that feeling, that first love, the flush of excitement. Songs are great for pinning like memories on and emotions. So I frequently pin what I'm writing on a project to a song, and then when I replay that song, I'm kind of like, it's like a cheat. I'm instantly back in that mood. Definitely during. It is pretty much a Google is open on, well, this is actually why I have 2 monitors. Besides laying stuff out, I'll have Google and a thesaurus on one side, and then I have the work that I'm working on the other. And as I'm writing, I'm constantly looking things up. What's another word for this? Because I've used this word too many times. Dark is a good one for me. I use dark way too much. And then, research, because I've really been getting a lot more into the science fiction, and I am not a scientist, so I'm constantly tagging into articles and research and things like that so that I can be pretty accurate with what I'm talking about. But it is definitely built during the process of writing. And one of the benefits that I found for that, personally, is it affects my story. As I'm researching something, I might find a new fact, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's perfect for this thing. And then I can just go from there and build a new story. For me, it would be creativity. Not just creativity, but the need to create. If I could be anything besides a writer, I would definitely be anything besides a writer. Politician would be good, maybe, because I don't mind social media and I don't mind being in front of cameras, obviously. I can think of just dozens of things that I could do besides being a writer. Unfortunately, being a writer is what I am. And in the process, I'm 50 now. Before I hit 50, or in the process of getting to this point right now, at this moment, I did a lot of other things. I worked in greenhouses, I've waitressed, I got my realty license, I've gotten a hairdressing certificate, I've just everything. And I really, later in my life, realized it's because I am a writer, but I'm curious about everything. And so I want to do every job. I mean, I'm attracted to garbage collector because I've never been one and I don't know what that's like. Really, what would it be like to be a garbage collector? So as I've progressed with my life, I learned that I am a writer and that I need to create stuff or I'm not happy. I get really cranky when I'm not creating, as my family knows. And they're very happy when I get something written I'm happy with, because then I'm just happy. Anything can happen and I'm happy. And I find that there's people that like to create, and then there's people that absolutely need to create. So when I get with another person that needs to create no matter what, doesn't matter about money, it doesn't matter about name, none of that matters. They create because they have to. I find that's a rare person, and I really enjoy talking to them, and we just can go off for hours about that. I would say not in the past as much. In the past, I just kind of created, but especially with bittersweets, it wasn't so much the marketing, but the reception, and the way it could be shared. I guess that would be a good way to say it. So when I wrote bittersweets, from the beginning, I had it in my mind that this would make a great series, say on Netflix or HBO. So I created it very visually and with the thought that, how many characters would have to be in here? What is the difficulty of creating this scene? Would this be a pretty economical scene to create? Things like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't say the marketing so much, but definitely the presentation. I was really conscious of when I was writing it. And I won't say it changed the story, but it was just kind of the flavor of it. Like if you're writing for kids, you obviously are going to write a certain way. In this case, I was writing for visuals. I would say yes, cruelty for no reason. When I was first beginning horror writing, I felt a key component of horror is horror. The shock value, the terror, the grossness effect, and cruelty, because cruelty is horrible. So a lot of my original stories were cruel with no purpose. It was just, for whatever reason, something terrible was happening to somebody. And don't know if I retracted that in the first draft. I would just kind of plow through it and get it done and realize, how ineffective it was later, especially now. But I definitely don't use that now. And I feel like that is kind of a line that we tend to cross a little too much, especially in horror, is cruelty for no reason. And romance. Romance has a lot of that too, I think. I don't really read a lot of romance, but some of it I do read, and I'm thinking, well, no, I actually never read romance. But I've seen paragraphs, and in those paragraphs, sometimes there's a lot of slapping and stuff going on that I'm like, why? Why did that need to happen? There was no point to that. You just slap people because, Anyways, I digress. But yeah, I would say cruelty with no reason is a line that we don't need to cross. If it's not teaching anything, if there's no point to it, then why have it? I want to thank Joe for having me, and yeah, I hope to see you soon.